everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the One of Us podcast. We're so excited here today because we have David Donaghue here in the house with us. He's a personal trainer, he's a husband, a father to two little ones, and we're just excited to get to know you a little bit more, David, and have you share your story and your passions just with this audience.
Brilliant. Thank you for having me. I'm a
Thank you.
Brit, as you know.
Yep. Thank you so much for being here. Well, we'll kind of just hit the ground running. I know I'm really curious about this, just in the back and forth that you and I have had, just about your story. I'm just wondering, like, what was the moment that you realized, my life is going to take a little bit of a turn. My ministry that I'm being called to do is in the realm of fitness. What was that transition like for you?
Yeah, so fitness was always a part of my journey, and I love that. And I went into like full-time ministry, and I trained in theology, had a parish, and really enjoyed it. But had some struggles, went through burnout, and I decided to step out of that level of ministry and I sort of had to start again, really, in terms of like work and career and family life, and basically just really threw myself into my well-being and my health, and exercise. I always had a love for exercise, and I was a bit of a geek on like science, nutrition, and supplements and training. So always had that knowledge, but just wanted to study more. So I went and did a personal training diploma, and then just was talking to another coach, actually another trainer, about my faith and sharing my faith with him. And he's like, you know what, like you could bring the two together and just like help people really become like Jesus, and not just in their minds or in their kind of works, but in who they are, what they are, their identity, their health, their body. And I just thought there's such a space for that. Yeah, so I explored the idea, and it turns out there are a lot of people that want to bring the two together. So yeah, it's through a conversation with a friend, and a kind of light bulb moment, and a lot of prayer, and then kind of testing as well. So I believe when we discern the Lord's will, sometimes we have to step into it and kind of see if it fits, and see if like others respond, and that seems to be happening. So yeah, that'd be a sort of a short answer.
As a trainer, do you work with a specific group of people where you're like, I like to work with the young people, old people, people that are, maybe going through like a type of therapy and are trying to get back? Is there a certain group of people, or you just do anyone and everyone that's willing
Yeah,
to?
like, so I haven't sort of niched down to like you say, a type of person going through something. The idea is I just want to keep it broad and let like the spirit move, and just see kind of who's attracted to me. So at the moment there's like a broad spectrum, men and women, younger, slightly older. So there isn't a kind of particular circumstance that people are going through. It just people are drawn to that, because one of the elements of my coaching is spiritual disciplines as well. But I'll see, if it turns out that I'm appealing to kind of dads or like, I don't know, students or something like that, then I definitely kind of follow that call. Again, I think it's that discernment thing of testing and seeing where the spirit moves. And I believe if I'm open at the beginning, then I kind of make room for that. But I'm happy to work with different people. It mixes it up as well for me. But just to say about therapy and things, I think I'm a big believer in getting like help in any way. I think it's about I've had therapy, and counselling. I recently lost my mother, so I'm having some bereavement counselling at the moment, and I just feel that any way that we can learn more about who we are, how we work, how our brains tick, then we can bring that to God. So that was one of my kind of big lessons in my sort of early days spiritual life. Was like I was very, very over spiritual on everything, and I just thought I could pray everything away, and I could meditate, and everything would be fixed. But what I realized is like we are flesh and blood, and we're complex. There's complex psychology going on, and actually, the more I can learn about how I work and who I am humanly, the more I can bring that to God. So it's not about replacing the prayer, but it's having more purchase on who I am, and owning myself and my behavior, my thinking, bringing that to the light of God. So yeah, I want to help people with that as well. So basically what I'm saying is a lot of people do have problems when we get a bit deeper, but don't we all? We all have areas to heal. I certainly do. And that's the great thing about Faith Strong coaching that I founded, is that it's really, really bringing the physical to prayer and having them spiritual disciplines.
So you're talking about spiritual disciplines, and kind of based off how you're talking and that you are a trainer, I'm sure you're very disciplined, spiritually, physically, and everything. What's it like interacting with people who come to you and they want to be more disciplined, but maybe are a little more difficult? Because I'm a teacher, so I know sometimes when I'm trying to like encourage my students and they just don't want to do it, sometimes for me it can get frustrating, where it's like, come on, like I'm here to hold your hand and like help you through this and teach you to be independent. So as a trainer, how do you kind of encourage people, especially being that this is kind of a ministry, without totally having them run in the other direction?
Yeah, certainly. And I've had to do growing around that myself, because if we're not careful, like you say, we can expect like these super high standards. But it's just, I suppose, from my own failures and weaknesses and kind of mess ups, I realize, it's that compassion. But like you say, at the same time, people want to progress and they want a result as such. So it is kind of a priority thing. So like, is it most important that we like get the perfect supplements, or go for amazing fitness times, amazing run times? No, what's the most important thing is that, like, make your bed, have some good breakfast, get hydrated, get some sunshine. These things start, and we can be very like results driven, like we want to look a certain way or feel a certain way or weigh a certain amount. But actually, if we start become habits driven, like get into good habits, which fits with the spiritual life, then all them results and things, they just happen. They take care of themselves. So big thing for me is not worrying too much about numbers at the beginning, but it's just like, what are our habits like? What's our thinking like? How do we feel about ourselves? How do we talk about ourselves? And then begin with that very basic self-care, and then we can start to look at more challenges, goals, because we all like a goal. We all like to better like things, and we're all a bit competitive at times. So, but yeah, basically self-care, meet the person where they're at, and yeah, like how's our thinking? How are we feeling at the moment? What can we do to improve that? So things like walking, hydration, a little bit of education, the very basics. But some people just come in and they're kind of already in a rhythm of exercise. So then it's like, okay, cool. Sometimes we have to hold back and look at the very basics.
So, in this sphere of this conversation, oftentimes too, like people of faith may say things like, oh, focusing so much on your fitness or so much on your diet may come off as vain. And I know you've touched on this in some of your videos, but how can you share with us like why it's actually not vain and it's actually for the glory of God?
Mm. Do you know, it's like a lot of things in our walk of faith. They can kind of fall into vanity and selfishness. So, do you know, when as simple as if we send a text or a WhatsApp to a family member, like we care about them and we want to comfort them, but there's a part of us that wants something back. Do you know, we want a nice reaction, we want favorable kind of message back. So there's always going to be a blend of self in everything, and that's why we appeal to God, like, relieve me of that, so I suppose there's always going to be a little mix. There will be some kind of vanity and pride, but I suppose one of the things I'm sort of looking at the moment is, how do I present myself with my fitness, like in terms of physique and like how I'm feeling, how I'm looking, my condition. It's like I go through this thing where actually I won't show any like beach shots or workout shots that are too revealing. And then sometimes think, you know what, actually, like I'm not, it's how we frame it as well. Like I'm not there to like show off. I'm there to show, like, inspire guys who are unhappy and say, look, you can get fit, you can improve your strength. So it is a bit of a grey area, but no, I truly believe it's the intention of the heart, and we can feel confident, and that's important. Energy and confidence. So I think if we strive to feel better, to maybe fit in clothes we like, then it has benefits as well. So confidence and energy, health markers, these are all things that follow looking good. So there's nothing wrong with looking good, wanting to be the best we can be, but it's always the intention of the heart. So one of the things is I will talk about and pray about with people is their intentions, because ultimately if we're looking for appearance and aesthetics, we're never going to achieve that, because there's always more. We're never going to look good enough. There is a body dysphoria as well that can come in, so that's why it's good to have an objective person to go, actually, you're looking great, or actually you've lost a bit too much weight. We need to up the calories. Or in fact, if someone comes to me to lose weight and I'm thinking you're actually really slim, how about strength? Should we look at strength? So having objectivity as well, somebody else to come in that is, as a heart for God, I think is really important as well. In a nutshell, we can look good and feel good for our own confidence and energy, but we have to be careful of the pride as well. The pride can come in and drive us. I think when we start feeling anxious, that's a sign that maybe pride is coming in. When we're, we might feel really good, we're sleeping well, we've got loads of energy, we're performing well in the gym, but we start to feel really anxious because we're not quite the same weight we want to be. Then I think that's a sign of pride as well, or a sign that pride could be coming in. So all these things need to be kind of discussed and measured and talked about.
I really liked what you said earlier. Since you don't know me, I like to give a little bit of a background. I've had on and off health journeys. Right now is a horrible season for me because mental health, like I had a really bad employer, and it sucks that like life circumstances can impact that. But I really enjoyed what you said, and I agree, because the last 2 years when I was very consistent in my health journey, when I took the scale number out and focused about like eating very nutritious and making it more of a routine, it didn't feel like a chore, and your mindset really changes. It's less about like the vanity aspect or like trying to be too hard on yourself to get things done. And I feel like doing it that way, you just live your life normally and get healthy over time. I think one thing though that I'm very curious to like ask is the food aspect of it, because I feel like there's so much information out there, and I've tested different things. The latest one that I did that did work is when I cut out all processed foods. So I'm curious to know like your perspective on that. I know that some people are like just only focus on calories or avoid processed foods, or protein, protein, protein. But I would love to hear your perspective on that.
Yeah, thank you. So for me, like I used to have this thing of like I have to cut out mainly sugar, because I felt like I had so many times in the past where I just started eating sugary foods and like couldn't stop, and especially if I was hungry. So I had a big thing about like cutting out sugar. But actually my belief is now is trying to get a healthy relationship with food. So for some people that have that kind of trigger with certain foods, I do encourage maybe a bit of a rest from it, like a break from it, because it does affect our bodies and our gut and enzymes and things like that. So to have a rest from that processed food, but I think over time to start actually introducing it, like, but really in a planned way. So say, okay, it's Saturday, we're going to have a brownie and a coffee. We're going to really enjoy it, and we're not going to eat it on the go. We're going to sit down and enjoy it, and just going to have one, and kind of really plan it in. And yeah, that's the kind of way I would deal with. But I don't believe in like cutting things out unless there's like a allergy type thing. And the thing is, like, in an ideal world, I would cut out processed foods and just eat whole foods. But reality, like, I want to live with other people. I want to go to social events and things. And some processed foods, okay, it's okay. People talk about like the 80-20 rule, so trying to eat whole foods most of the time. And in terms of like managing food, I think I'm a big believer in like tracking food. Now, it can be a bit controversial, but my feeling is like whatever's measured is managed. So if I know, for me, if I can see what I'm eating, then like I can see the value of food. So if I track my food, it's super quick now. I just use an app, and it's not about being obsessed with it. It's just like just being able to see what I'm eating, so I can look. So, okay, cool. I've eaten enough. My body's nourished. Because if I don't track, I can easily get into overthinking, like I've eaten too much or haven't eaten enough, and I get really confused and not sure. So I encourage people to track what they're eating, whether that is using an app or just writing things down, but just to keep a track so that we can see. Because how often have we been to like a party where there's like a beautiful buffet or a beautiful spread of food, and we just pick, and like I couldn't tell you how much I've eaten, because it's just there. So for me, like what's measured and is managed. So that doesn't mean restricting. It just means, so I've been on a gaining phase for like 6 months. So I'm eating above my requirements. So, but again, I needed to track that because I could easily go way above. It's a bit like the scales as well. I think it's good to have a positive relationship with weight as well, because it's truth, isn't it? Like if I weigh a weight, that's the truth. Like whether I like it or not, like that's my weight. So I think I encourage people. Some people don't want to go near the weighing scales, but some people are okay. But I do encourage that as a healthy thing to know our weight and to be okay with it. If it's up, that's okay. If it's under, that's okay. Just to there's many reasons why our weights fluctuate, like water, carbohydrates, salt, things like that. So it's not being frightened of the scales to the point where we go on them once and it's really high and we freak out. It's like, no, it's okay. Like, so I just encourage like healthy relationships with food, with our weight, and slowly try to bring that into a good place. But that would be my take.
I love that. I did a lot of calorie tracking, and it's cool because over time you start to like see patterns and you can start guessing. I remember I used to go to the grocery store, look at things and be like, I bet the calories are XYZ. And I feel like that gives you more awareness of the foods that you're eating. I feel like after that, I would be like, that's actually kind of gross. Like, I don't want to eat 3 cookies and it's like 300 calories. Like, that's 1/3 of or 1/4 of my daily intake.
Or equally, if you wanted a cookie, it'd be like, cool, let's 300 calories. So just keep 300 calories. I'll enjoy that tonight, and then it just makes it healthy. Then it's not a secret and it's not kind of overdoing it. It's just like enjoying that food, making that decision to have a cookie and enjoy it, because cookies are good. Like I'm not against cookies. Cookies are great.
Yeah, I did that a lot too. I do think it's a balance, like eat healthy, like the 80/20 rule that you said, and then but also allow yourself to eat foods. I think I know for me what I struggle with is like the emotional eating aspect of it. If life is too stressful, it's just easy to just kind of like snack or like eat it out, which is it's sad because when you're on a rhythm and then you kind of like go backwards, it can be hard. But I mean, if you had like a client similar to like my situation, what is like ways that you kind of go about that? I'm curious.
Yeah, so I'd be really interested. So, like for instance, if you were to be my client, I wouldn't just, here's like a training plan, here's a nutrition plan. I'd want to know about these kind of the patterns that we go through, and I'd dive into that. Like what not that I would fix it or try and, maybe we would, but it'd be more just to get that awareness around what changes, from feeling great and in a rhythm. Okay, so you had some bad news. Okay, and then just look at it, and it's cliche, isn't it? Like, but how can we heal that? How can we feel it, and how can we work through it without using food? And there's no kind of magic wand, but it's just a case of that, and it's practicing as well. A lot of this is, we see it as like a one-time thing, like, I had a binge, it's all over. But actually, it's practicing. Like like they say, failure is feedback. It's learning and building on that. But one thing I certainly would do is not put someone that's had that kind of pattern into a restriction. So I'd actually, the first phase would be a nourishing phase. So it'd be like, let's just eat really well. Let's not restrict. Let's like eat plenty and keep full. Let's enjoy these new habits and kind of go through that phase first and then start tweaking things. But yeah, nourishing is really important.
So I have a question. First of all, sorry, how long have you been a personal trainer for?
I'm quite new actually, so it's about a year. But actually, a lot of the stuff that I learned, I don't want to sound like cocky, but I knew a lot of it just from, you know, how these days we can like read a lot and we can learn. And I've learned a lot from having coaches, if I'm honest. Like the kind of nutrition, it was quite like standard stuff that we learned. But actually having a coach and walking with a coach myself and how they've coached me has been like the big learn for me. And I've had a coach for a few years. So yeah, I'm pretty newly qualified, but a lot of experience. But yeah, I'm hoping to build it. The beauty of, because I'm an online coach, is I can help people. It's more kind of journeying with them, accountability. So rather than being kind of in the gym, counting their reps, you know, for an hour and like pushing them hard and then say, see you next week. This is about journeying with people. So obviously a personalized training plan, but it's about working with people like around the reality of their life, like what they can achieve, what they're capable of, and journeying with people, daily communication, like weekly feedback. Can even check in on what their food is like, and we can talk about their food choices. And big thing is like people got social events coming up. We can navigate that together, can have a plan, holidays, because it should be like a lifestyle. I'm not really into quick fixes or like 8-week shreds and things like that. Like it's about a lifestyle, do you know, holidays, Christmas, all these things. How do we navigate? And the idea is then they walk away not needing a coach because these habits are in place, that experience is in place. They've been through these social events and they know they can manage things. They've got a great education around food. They've the value and energy in food. And yeah, the idea is like they're educated, habit formed, so they don't need a coach. So I always say that to new clients is like, the idea is you don't need me. You're going to work for a period of time. Can invest in you as well, because often we invest so much in other things and other people, and the idea as Christians sometimes of investing in ourselves can feel a bit prideful. But what's the saying, you know, you can't fill from an empty cup. We really have to look after ourselves. I've got like 2 young children, and it's busy, but I still make time to plan meals, to work out, because I know my mood will be better, my sleep will be better, I'll be able to provide more, and I'll be a better dad and husband. So it's really important we do look after ourselves, and then we can give more.
I love what you've talked about in terms of food and fitness being more relational, and how it's about really getting to know yourself, because that's actually been eye-opening for me in this conversation. I'm like, wow, we spend so much time like getting to know ourselves per se, or like digging deep in other areas and facets of our life, but so often we don't think of, you know, the history or depth behind some of these like patterns or habits that we have, and really trying to glorify God in and through this. Because one, like food is a basic need that we have. You know, our bodies are the temple of the Holy Spirit. So these are so important to our daily life, and we need our bodies and we need to like fuel our bodies. And so it really just shows the importance of that. Curious, just as you've talked, you know, I know one of your biggest mottos is, you know, being strong for the Lord. And you've talked about the importance of longevity and vitality, and what you're saying, like being a better, you know, provider, just as a husband and a father, and how this relates to this conversation. I'm curious if you would describe as maybe fitness having the perspective and the intention of it being more selfless, like less about you and more about like, if I am like strong per se, I can be like used by the Lord in different ways, and I can be more involved with my kids, etc. So I would love if you could speak on that a little bit more.
Yeah, thank you. That's great to reflect back. And you just, as you were talking, you brought back to me a friend who's an airline pilot, and we were talking. We were on a Zoom call about dying to self, and it's easy when you're a minister to kind of say, yeah, like giving everything up and, you know, for the Lord. But this guy was an airline pilot, like trying to like progress his career, and he said, yeah, like I work really hard so that I can give everything to my family. So the idea, he wanted to progress and earn more money so that he could give that money and provide and education and health and the house and everything for us. And it just made me like think, wow, actually you can die to self in like a very prestigious job. So yeah, it's like I go to the gym and I think of my little girl. Do you know, when I'm working out, let's be real, we need to protect children today, like physically protect them and be fit to be there and be strong. So when you work out, you break down the fibers in your muscles. Like, so there is a suffering. So yeah, to suffer for the sake of my family. And I just think a lot of my meditation, I just think of, I want to be more like Jesus, and just think Jesus was quite strong, fit. He worked hard. His work ethic was insane. We all know the stories of like where he was healing all day, and then the boats like arrived. He got the other side, and he just went back out to work. You've probably seen The Chosen, where he comes back to the tent and he's absolutely like wrecked. So that's Jesus. Like, I'm nowhere near that, but it's that sense of like breaking myself down that I can be stronger, being fitter. Yeah, and like you say, we are the instrument. So our bodies, whether we like it or not, our bodies are the vehicle for worship. Worship with my hands, I kneel, I sing, and I speak. If I'm feeling fit and confident, I'm likely to talk to more people about Jesus. Like, I'm gonna be more alive. I'm gonna be more nourished, have more energy. If I'm not, I'm probably feeling like I'm a bit of an introvert. I do like to hide away. I do like to sit at the back, and especially if I'm feeling unconfident. So feeling fit and strong, being more like on the ball, being sharper mentally is huge. So food we eat is just so important to our mental state. So yeah, like, we're just going to live more fully, providing the heart and the body are aligned. It's not about chasing the physical life, because we all know that can lead nowhere. But if the two are aligned, like, we set the world on fire, right?
And I think a piece of what you said is so important about confidence. And something that you said earlier in our conversations was, you said the devil can rob us of so much through lack of confidence. And I thought, wow, like, there's something to that, and I think it's so layered. But I was wondering if you can like speak on that piece.
Yeah, like, how many conversations have I missed? How many opportunities to build someone up have I passed by because I'm feeling unconfident? Because there's that voice just going, you look like crap today. I don't like what I'm wearing. I'm hot. My energy's rubbish. Like, so yeah, like, God ordains so much for us, and I'm sure we don't fulfill it as much as we could. But I think if we're confident, we've all met these people, right? Like, you guys, I've just met you, but you have this as well. Like, people that have that starry look and that grace-filled confidence, not a cockiness, but it's a real openness, isn't it? It's just open, and when people talk to you and they don't butt in, they just wait and give you room to say more, and that real trusting confidence that we're walking with the Lord. Yeah, to be spirit led, to see where does the Spirit want to lead me. There's a thing they do here. It's like a thing they do in ministry here. I forget the name of it, but it's where you basically pray, prophesize in a group, and then you go out to the streets and you prophesy. Like, someone might have seen a guy in a red shirt, and then someone else feel like, we need to tell that person that it's going to be okay, or something like that. And they go out to the street and they meet these people. They're just spirit led, and it's amazing the things that happen, and the miracles that happen, and the healings that happen just by being spirit led and open. If I'm unconfident, I'm nowhere near that. I hide. I'm in a shell. So confidence is freedom, and it's being open to the Spirit. And I do feel being physically well really like leans into that as well.
Yeah, David, I really love your ministry, honestly, because I think so many people just don't really understand how your spiritual discipline and your physical health are so intertwined. I think, this whole conversation, that's something that's been very eye-opening to me. And some of the conversations that you've been having with the team, I think something you said that was really interesting was like, I think you said 75% of, ministry leaders are like overweight. And what I was wondering was, since you have a lot of experience in this, is there a particular spiritual discipline that you just see that you believe everyone should implement, or that would make such a big change in that number?
Wow. Okay. Like, so a spiritual discipline that would help. I think there's something about like feeding on the word of God. And like, again, that's very kind of spiritual. I'm not going to say the next time you want to binge, like read scripture. I mean, yeah, do that. But it's not, again, it's not magic, but there is something like if we feed on the word regularly, like the spiritual life isn't an instant drug. It's not an instant. It might be at first. We get them initial consolations where things like amazing things happen and life becomes in color again. But as we go on, it's like I see like the spiritual life like a garden. We have to like tend to and water, nourish, and if we feed on the word of God, and maybe some fasting as well. I'm not a big faster myself. I find it difficult, but fasting from non-food things as well creates a space, so we can put like social media down for a period of time, or YouTube, or whatever the go-to thing is for us. We can put that down and just feel that space, feel that pain of not having the thing, and then feeding on the word of God. I think there's something there to start sort of bending our hearts to what truly nourishes. And then I think that's going to help then the physical like management of food, which we need help with as well. But yeah, something around creating space. That's why the tradition of the church for fasting is so relevant and important. And then trying to fill that space with the word of God. Really, I think St. Benedict talks about meditating on the word like a sweet. You know how we would like suck a sweet and just really like let the word of God like fill us and taste it. And there's something about feeding on the word that will bring healing, I think.
And then I think something that we've been saying that I really enjoy about your ministry is this idea that you actually walk along people's kind of like health journey, that you're kind of an accountability. And, since we're a community podcast, we think, accountability is such a huge aspect in any friendship. So what I was wondering is, in terms of a community or a relationship, how do you implement more of that accountability in terms of health? Because I think, that's not an accountability that I think day-to-day friendships have, right? Like, you have a friend, you're not really commenting on their weight or what they're doing that's healthy or not. So like, where do you think that people can kind of break that mold and have more accountability in that, just as regular friends?
That's really good. I've got friends the same actually, and one of them was saying to me how a certain group of us, like we're interested in our health. It was another group of friends, they're just not, and they're like just kind of just get wasted and and do everything. But he said he values the friends that kind of are interested in health. So there is an element of like we can choose. Generally speaking, we can choose our environment. Not always, but a lot of the time we can. So it's but even I don't know what you think to this, but even like not just friendships, but the stuff that I'm exposed to. So I do a lot of walking, I listen to podcasts, and the stuff that's I'm exposed to as well, good things like good, healthy education, like listen to podcasts from sound sources about nutrition, and trying to kind of get away from the kind of extreme stuff and the stuff that the comparison and all the stuff that drags us down. So for me, it's like what I surround myself in as well, what I listen to and watch, as well as who I'm friends with. But also what I bring to friendships as well. So like, can I talk about fitness and energy that isn't in a way like pointing fingers or I know better than you, but like, can we talk about that and ask people questions? That's what the Lord did. He asked questions and told stories. But yeah, there's something to be said for like what we surround ourselves in and what we're exposed to. I think if I can make positive choices in that area, that's going to help.
I've loved just this conversation and really pointing to this idea of curiosity, like what you're saying. It's like dig deeper, like be curious, have these conversations, be open, have the confidence of the Lord. I think it's all really wrapped up beautifully in this idea too of just being sober minded in all areas of our life, including this one, right? Like being able to like think clearly and make decisions that are leading us towards righteousness, and really loving one another well through our accountability and walking together in community in this area too. So we've just loved having you on, and thank you so much for your wisdom and just the discernment and just the conviction and everything that you've shared with us tonight. I know I have a lot to just think about myself, but as we wrap this up, feel free if there's anything additionally you'd like to share, and also tell people how they can find you and a little bit of what you got going on as well.
Yeah, thank you. I'd really love to connect with anyone who's resonated with this podcast or wants to talk with me. Like, I'm really open to conversation. I love it. I love meeting new people. So if anyone wants to reach out, mainly on Instagram, David_Donaghue. Simple as that. David_Donaghue. And I've just recently made a resource called Grace-Filled Progress. Grace-Filled Progress. So getting away from perfectionism and moving to progress, grace-filled progress. So if anyone wants a copy of that, then just go on my Instagram and just DM me, say, hi, heard you on the podcast. Can I have a copy of Grace-Filled Perfections? I'd love to give that away to inspire anyone listening. But yeah, please check me out and get in touch.
Well, thanks, David. We'll make sure to link everything down in the description as well. Please go reach out to David. David, thank you again for being on and for sharing everything. We'll be praying for your ministry and all you got going on, because the Lord is really using you. And
God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. We'll catch you again next week.